What's good? Um, I don't know why, but I just thought I wanted to make a video for noobs, for people who aren't that, FL literate, versed in FL. Fuck, I don't know, man. People who are just starting out with FL Studio. A thing I see a lot or I hear a lot is, oh, my drums don't sound good, or it doesn't sound right, or whatever. And there's obviously a lot of mixing stuff you can do to make that happen, but one of the most powerful things you can do is make use of the sampler, right? That's built into FL Studio. I don't know. I don't think Pro Tools has a built-in sampler. I know Logic does. Um, Ableton probably does, but most DAWs do not have that feature. That's such a big part um, of the of the DAW itself, right? So first thing you do when you open FL, that channel rack's right there. Ooh, what's this shit? Oh, dope, eh? The sequencer's right there. Um, and this is how I do all my drums. I mean, I use samples. I click and drag, and I drop them in. Um, and this thing is really powerful. This sampler. I want to double check and make sure OBS. Okay, cool. It is capturing this window because it hasn't been doing that for all my videos, and drove me nuts. So you might want to ask yourself, well, who gives a shit about the sampler? Why is it important? Well, I'll show you. So got some samples here. Let's see. Oops. What's going on here? Oh, buddy. See, this is from the other video I had to redo. Okay, so bear with me one sec. I could edit this out, or I could keep on trucking. Okay, so, let's just look at some of these samples I have. Really fat kick, got that cymbal on it. It sounds good, but it tends to go on for a little long for me, right? That cymbal especially. Chill. Then we have the snare. I'll be honest, I don't even like this snare. It's got that weird artifact thing going on that sounds like an alien almost. If you take out the... No. Yeah, that shit's weird. But for the purposes of this demonstration, it makes sense. So let's see what else we got. Tiny ass hi-hat. I'll show you about that in a second. So, I mean, you could hear these drums and go, oh, cool, not bad, without knowing what they could be, right? Tighter, more controlled, whatever. I can't think of another adjective. So what I'm going to do is just show you how this sampler can benefit you. Like, for example, first things first, this kick, that cymbal's too long. When you mess with this fade out thing here, I mean, it's like night and day. Suddenly, whoa, there's a totally new kick. This kick is now all punch and no cymbal, pretty much. This is obviously extreme. I wouldn't want this. But you can definitely fuck around with this. Let's try this. Let's hear how this sounds. Okay. I mean, not bad, but it's kind of cutting off the good parts for me. So what you can do instead, if you want, go to this tab, the envelope instrument setting. You got your envelope here. This also controls the attack, decay, sustain, release of the instrument, right? Attack, decay, sustain, release. ADSR, you hear a lot. So yeah, man, what I would do maybe is I'm auditioning this kick here. Maybe drag the release back. Now see here, you have the punch is still there, but it's not fading it out, right? It's just not playing everything at once. Okay, cool. And in order to make use of this envelope, you can't just click it in. I think you have to right-click, piano roll, and then work with the MIDI here. So if I just play it as is, it'll be as it was before. Control A. click and drag. And now we're choosing how long the sample is going to play. So let's dial it back. Totally different now, right? It's totally different sound. And if you want to, you can have the first one hit hard. Oops. You have the first one hit hard. I mean, you know, you have so much more control. You see what I mean? So the kick is doing much better. The snare, like I said, I don't even like the sample, but for this example, it works. What I would do, actually, you can have the second snare. Oops, no, 1 sec. So let's clone this. What we're going to do is we'll clone the snare. No, clone. And we're going to make the first one short, like this. And again, I would probably go into the envelope and mess with it like this. Let's see here. Also, you might hear this. It's kind of hard to hear. There's at the end there's a little pop. So that would be a good way to get rid of that. So now, you know, you've got just more defined drums. You know, we're shaping how they sound. We're keeping all their dynamics, but making sure they hit hard. Let's see, this hi-hat. You can barely hear this hi-hat. I don't know why. I guess it was just recorded at a low volume, something. If you go over to this normalize button, what's going to happen is it's going to raise the peaks and fill out the sound. I don't always recommend that because sometimes it makes a sample sound worse, you know, because you're just raising the noise floor. So if you listened to before, barely audible. With normalize, it's like we're compressing it, you know? It's like you have the sound before and then after. You're not compressing it though. So what I would do here is same thing, because I like it now, but it has that little pop at the end. If we try to fade it out, it's going to sound very synthetic and not human, right? We don't want that. So same thing. Let's go in here, release. And let's open up the piano roll. I don't know why, because if you look at this guy, this MIDI note, I gotta stop saying guy. If you look at the MIDI note, it looks very short, but it's still playing in full. So I think you really have to just adjust it slightly for it to kick in. Okay, what's going on there? There we go. And maybe also let's Control A, Shift click, and then drag. And of course, I would probably EQ the snare. I'd get rid of some of the low end, and I'm also going to, every other one, I'll lower the velocity. Or let's actually Alt click and drag, undoes it. And the sampler also gives you another way to adjust the volume, you know? And I know this is baby shit for most of you, but some people think the only way you can lower and raise stuff is like that, where you can actually do it here as well. This volume knob over here and this miscellaneous functions, it gives you more gain, I think. Sorry, that's really loud. Yeah, it gives you extra gain. I don't mess around with that too much. I don't know. I usually just work with the gain I have here, and then if I have it on an instrument track, on a insert, sorry, I'll mess with it there. Anyway. I mean, yeah, I would definitely do some stuff to that. But yeah, doesn't sound bad. I like to usually have an open hi-hat right before the snare, like two little dots there. So what you can do is open piano roll. That actually doesn't sound bad, but I believe I might want it to end sooner. Same thing. Yeah. What else do we got here? Oh yeah, and I might as well talk about time stretching and all this. So I usually with samples, if I want a kick to sound lower or higher, I will just adjust the pitch here, you know. But you can also do it here. I don't think there's too much of a difference, honestly. This mode, you can have it on many different things like resample or like E3 generic. I have noticed that when you mess with the what is this, multiplicator? Didn't know what that was. When you mess with this and you make it slower, that's when you start hearing those artifacts and the sample sounds not good, right? Eesh. Yikes. But yeah, I mean, fuck around with that. As far as these controls here, there's some cool stuff in here. Like, for example, let's see. If you control the fade out and then you trim, it just makes everything shorter. Whereas, yeah, just doing fade out without trim. Let's see. I guess it doesn't matter too much. It depends on the sample. Totally depends on the sample. You can also reverse, obviously. You can adjust the fade in. You can get some pretty crazy sounds. What is that? That's not a snare. This pogo effect is kind of hit or miss. I don't use it that often. Get that laser gun effect. It's cool for sure. I don't have a lot of practical uses for it. Same with crossfade. I rarely use this. I used to when I was first starting out. Might be hard to hear what's going on there. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I was like, why is it extending? Yeah. So what this is doing, it's looping that one section and fading it. So I don't know. If you have a certain kind of sample, like maybe a hi-hat would be better. Oh, not that one. Not that. Why did I click that again? It almost sounds like a synth, kind of. You can go crazy with it, man. And fading stereo it can be cool sometimes. Like, for example, here. Can't really. I don't know why it's not. Usually, what happens is it plays from left to right, and it can be a cool effect. It's not working there. There's more stuff. Oh, if you ever have a drum sample that keeps playing without you telling it to play, like sometimes you'll be in a pattern and you'll just put a kick down or something. No. You'll put a kick down. And then it goes boom, again, boom, boom. It gets louder and louder, and they're stacking on top of each other. That means that there's a loop point in the sample itself that somebody put there because they thought that was a good thing to do. I don't know why you would ever do that. So if that does happen, click use loop points, turn it off, and it will stop. That used to drive me fucking nuts. But now I learned how to get over it. There's more stuff. Not a whole lot. I mean, of course, you've got the filter here, which I think you can automate. Yep. That saves you some CPU with a plugin or something. You got low pass, you got band pass. Really cool stuff. What else do we have here? Oh yeah, you can lock this to tempo. The envelope, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm showing you, I do this stuff every day. What I've shown you so far, every time I'm using a sample, this is what I do. So yeah, I think, let's see what time we're at. We're at 16 minutes. Okay, cool. That should be enough. This is going to be a shorter one. But hopefully this was useful. And I will see you guys never again. This is my last video. Goodbye.